Hello everyone, I want to talk about a tool that will help to solve two frustrating tasks for job seekers. The first task is tailoring your resume and cover letter to each job you apply to. As we know, this takes a ton of time to do that. And then the second is the lack of useful feedback you get from recruiters or the job application process to then further feedback into how you can tailor your resume and cover letters for each job you apply to. So these two things are intertwined, and I wanted to talk a little bit about a tool that can help accelerate this process right now. So as we can see on this website, this is known as Tldraw Computer. Tldraw Computer is a free software where it uses generative AI and node-like structures, kind of like Lego bricks, where you can connect them together and perform a specific task. Now, this is different from the ChatGPTs and the Claudes of the world because it allows you to put easily structure and a workflow together in one single area instead of constantly copying and pasting different things. Now, if you were to do this, you could probably solve this with ChatGPT and Claude right now, but I want to show you a little bit of the difference here. So here is the workflow that I'm going to work on right now. This is the workflow that I talked about, how you can automate or speed up the process of tailoring your cover letter and resume. Not only that, though, but also providing recommendations on how you can better improve the statements on your resume and cover letter so that it's more tailored and more focused on the job that you have. Now, there's 3 steps here. The first is to upload a text format of your resume. Okay. The second would be then to copy and paste the job description. And then thirdly, you would just click play. Now, before we go ahead and do that, I kind of want to explain what this is going to be doing so that once we do it, you'll be amazed by really how tailored this is. So again, after you've uploaded your resume and copied and pasted the description, what this does is it takes both of those inputs, those contexts, and it compares the provided resume information and the job description. It gives it a score, and then I've created a little prompt here that says it's out of 4. So if you receive a 1, that means you're not qualified for the job at all. If it's a 2, there's some matches of criteria on your resume. If it's 3, it meets most of the criteria, and 4, it meets all of the criteria. So you should probably apply to that job right away. I also wanted it to give me some recommendations of the strengths, weaknesses, and areas of improvement. And then, of course, I put a little bit of formatting here, which is to format all that information in a bullet form. Now, once that is generated, that then puts over here, you'll see a match, a recommendation, and an areas of improvement. But then what I wanted it to do is go one step further to take that recommendation that it was given, as well as the input from the original resume. As you can see, there's a green arrow here and here, and that means that it is taking, not only is it taking the recommendations, but it's taking the context of the original resume, and it's going to generate a cover letter. The reason this is important is because you would like it to not hallucinate, and you want it to use the actual experience on your resume in combination with the recommendations it gave. You don't want it to give false information, so this limits that. Once it generates the cover letter, it also in parallel can pinpoint exact phrases in the resume that can be improved based on the recommendations. And then again, I put a little piece here because I've noticed that Tldraw kind of formats things in JSON a little bit, so I had to put in an extra prompt here to then refine the resume at the bottom. So now what you're going to see, I'm going to go ahead and upload the sample resume right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I have a fictional resume here. Now that fictional resume came from the internet. I have Homer Simpson's resume. I found it on the internet, downloaded it, and all I did is converted this to text by saving this from text on Adobe Reader, and that's what I just uploaded. Now it has education, employment history, etc. We'll take a look at that in a second. Then I wanted to then find a job description. Now on Homer's resume, it shows that he is a night auditor. I have no idea what that is, but let's go check out. I went into LinkedIn and I searched night auditor. What I found was a really interesting job post here called Regional Inspector, and it's from the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. And the reason I found this fitting is because, you know, Homer has been working in a nuclear power plant for over 30 years now, so I figured this is fitting. Let's see how accurate his credentials show. So what I'm going to do is copy the job over here. And I'm going to do that by selecting all the English text. I didn't test it with French yet, but something to do in the future. And then I'm going to go ahead over here and paste everything here. Now that I have the inputs, I have the resume, and I have the job description, I'm going to go ahead and do step 3, which is click play. Now you'll notice that the nodes start to become active. You can see that the first prompt is now generating some scoring and then goes off to prompt 2 and 3 to generate a cover letter and refine some resumes. There, it's all done. This is really, really impressive. Tldraw is super fast, and again, for being a free tool for now, you may have to be on the wait list when you sign in. But I got access pretty immediately, and now I'm kind of playing around with it a bit, and it's really impressive. These nodes are really easy to put together, and you kind of click things together. But now let's take a look at the output. So let's go ahead and remember the first prompt was to provide a match score. So Homer got a 1 out of 4. Unfortunately, he's not a match for the job. However, it doesn't tell you just you're not a match for the job. It's going to tell you, well, what are some strengths of your resumes and what are some weaknesses, as we talked about. Well, though Homer demonstrates ability to work independently in multiple roles, and including manufacturing, which it is true on his resume, it also says that there's a lack of experience in nuclear substances, instrumentation, or radiation protection principles. Now, if you go back to the job description, if you kind of take a look down here on who you are, I'll zoom in a bit. It says here that the use of nuclear substance instrumentation and application of radiation principles. Of course, Homer is not in that realm. It doesn't showcase that on his resume, so he lacks that experience. But it also gives you some areas of improvement. To obtain relevant education, seek internships at entry level with the nuclear sector, highlight transferable skills from the previous roles, etc., etc. Now, this is really, really cool, right? So it talks about, talk about your detail, your detail, attention to detail, problem solving, independent work, and meticulous record keeping, etc. So what this is going to do now is take that information where it takes the recommendations along with the context of the original resume, and it creates a cover letter, a draft cover letter. Now you could take this, copy it, and paste it into Word or Google Docs and refine it further, but it's a great way to give you a draft to start with rather than having to start from scratch. Now the quality of this is pretty good because what I like here, it says, I'm writing to express my keen interest in the nuclear inspector position advertised on platform, which you saw in the advert. Now, of course, it doesn't know we got this from LinkedIn, so you can go ahead and add LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever the website was, wherever you received that review of your the position advertised. And what I've done in specific tests, it adds those placeholders in multiple ways. If you have more detail in your resume, it's going to spit out that placeholder of where you can do some more recommendations. I have tested on my own resume, for example, and it gave me really, really clear instructions of showcasing numbers and how much percentage I could have helped people and so on. So it's really, really cool. Now, the most important part is this part here, which I found really fascinating. You'll say that original phrases is the audit and balance the day of from day shifts. And if you look at Homer's resume again, that's the very first point that he said. Now it's saying, well, what you can do instead is say independently audit and balance daily operational reports, ensuring accuracy and timely completion. Now, of course, the prompt is very simple here. If you increase the description of the prompt or the amount of context you'd like to have, it would obviously provide the output that is a little bit more detailed for you. But the fact that it can go down and go through each point and give you some feedback, which is what we're ultimately trying to solve for in this workflow, is, again, tailoring your custom resumes and cover letters to each job that you apply to, as well as providing you feedback on how you can better refine your resume or cover letter in this case to then apply to a job that will increase your chances of trying to get at least past that first stage. Now, this was a quick test. I don't want to go through all the features, but there are tons of things that Tldraw Computer has to offer. It has, you can use your webcam, you can have speech, you can have different files, mostly text format right now, different data ranges, etc., and buttons. So I do want to put some things to end the video here, and there's some usage notes. Again, Tldraw does not yet support PDF, so input must be in text format. The prompts can be updated for varying formations, as I mentioned. If you wanted to have bullet points versus the JSON, sometimes Tldraw gives you the wrong output or a formatting of the output. You can also then understand, lastly, but most importantly, is outputs are AI generated, and you should be always checking the outputs to make sure that it is not hallucinating or saying false statements that may not apply to you. But I think I'd like all of you to go out and test it out. Now, I am going to try to publish this, but for whatever reason, when I try to publish it, it's not working currently. If I do publish it, I will put it in the description below or put it in the comments below so all of you can try it. You can take this workflow, fork it, try to do something else, change the prompts up a bit. Or you can go ahead straight to Tldraw, take a screenshot of this or pause the video and try it out yourself to see if you can mimic this workflow. It's really easy. This took me no longer than a few minutes to pop up. Well, I'd like to get your feedback on this. What is your feedback? How do you think I can improve this workflow, or what are things that you're trying on Tldraw Computer? Put it down in the comments below, and we'll talk later. Cheers.